Okay, so the question is, if your baby has an HIE diagnosis, does that automatically mean that they will have a subsequent CP or cerebral palsy diagnosis? I'm shooting this video really quick because this is a question that we're dealing with more and more. People are having this question. And a lot of times it's showing up because parents may have just initially gotten an HIE diagnosis, and the doctors or the medical professionals are talking to them about these types of issues and possibly cerebral palsy or CP. And so depending on the literature that you look at, in some instances, about 40% of the babies who have an HIE diagnosis, they will not go on to have a cerebral palsy diagnosis. So just because your baby has an HIE diagnosis, that does not mean that a cerebral palsy diagnosis will be subsequent. Now, when we are looking at these types of issues, one thing that you have to take into consideration is always the severity of the injury to the brain, the severity of the injury. Not only do you want to understand the severity of the injury, but what area or areas of the brain are impacted by the injury. Cerebral palsy or CP, it is the most common movement disorder for children, according to numbers from the CDC or the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So although it is something that's very common or fairly common when it comes to movement disorders, just because your baby has an HIE diagnosis, that does not necessarily mean that they will always go on to have a CP diagnosis. If you have more questions, maybe you're here today watching this video because your baby has an HIE diagnosis and you have questions. You want to know what possibly caused this to happen, and you know that there are no issues with genetics or there are no developmental issues present, and you have questions. If that's you, if you're having this going on and you would like to speak with me further about what's going on with your baby and your family, there's a telephone number on the screen. I advise you to go ahead and pick up the phone and call me. When you talk to my secretaries, just let them know that you would like to get on our calendar, pick a date and a time. That is important, a date and a time to talk with us. Also, remember, it costs you absolutely nothing to talk with us initially about your baby story. One more thing, I practice law here in the state of Maryland, and I know this video is on social media, it's on the internet and all that other stuff. If you are not in Maryland, you got to understand that we have to use what we call co-counsel or local counsel. In other words, an attorney in your state. And that's something that we can work with you on if you're not here in Maryland, but I just want to make sure that you understand that local counsel or that co-counsel aspect of things if you contact us and you're not in Maryland. All right, that's going to be it for today's quick educational video. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and I'm one of the childbirth injury and medical malpractice attorneys practicing law here in the state of Maryland at Boston Law Group, LLC. We'll talk with you next time. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.